Instead, it was Vincenzo Sospiri racing Alex Au and Yuki Nemoto. And Alex will be starting from the outside of the front row this afternoon. 50 minutes of racing for the Lamborghini drivers. A driver change in the middle of the race, or for those going solo, still a standard pit stop for them to make. But all is set. It's a warmish day here, not the full in-your-face heat that it often has here at Suzuka in the height of summer. Almost a blue sky. It's a bright day, but actually quite comfortable for conditions for the fans out around the circuit. Not too searingly hot, as you can see the bushes moving around in the images. A little bit of a breeze as well, not felt of course by the drivers down on the grid. Car on pole position 38, Hojust Racing, and it will be Toshiyuki Ochai who will be kicking off in that. He shares with Afik Yazid, and they certainly placed very well indeed in yesterday's race. Moved up to third overall. They'll be starting from pole position. As I said, the outside the front row, excuse me, will be Alex Au in the number 66, Vincenzo Sospiri racing version. You can see it in the team colours there, white with the yellow and blue stripes in it on the right-hand side of the image. 19 cars coming out to play, and a packed grid of friends, family, VIPs being ushered away to leave the drivers, and one mechanic per car to focus on what lies ahead at the start of the race. Lamborghini Urus, these incredible SUVs at the front of the field, ready to lead them round on their formation lap. And for people out around this most glorious of circuits, many have their favoured vantage points. And today, without the full sun beating down on their heads, you can actually sit out a lot of the year. You find yourself here just seeking the shade. The humidity's there, but you might as well keep the burn of the sun off your head. So, full grid of cars, just to reiterate, yesterday victory to Alex Au and Yuki Nemoto, promoted when Evan Chen and Chris van der Drift had their Gamma Racing version disqualified. Evan will be starting third on the grid today, number 68, no doubt with the right height at the correct level. And alongside him on the second row, now the Japanese racer Jun Tashiro, making that one on pole, Toshiyuki Ochai and Jun Tashiro, this promotion racing entry, number 77. There's the view from the circuit down the slope to the bay beyond, the sea down there, and a full array of towns and villages and factories the whole way down the coast. To the left of the screen you go on towards Nagoya via Yokkaichi, and if you look down to the right of the screen heading west you go towards Osaka. But this circuit's so long, favoured hunting ground for drivers. It's just such a beguiling stretch of tarmac. It's got gradient, it's not wide, the corners come in wonderful sequences, and the satisfaction that comes for all these drivers as and when they manage to really get the momentum right and hook together a strong lap around here. I suggest almost nobody ever gets a perfect lap around Suzuka. It's just too difficult. Unusual circuit in that it actually crosses over after about turn 10, after the two Degners. You turn right through the second of the Degners under the bridge, and the bit over the bridge is the return leg that is getting rapidly towards turn 130R, the fastest corner on the circuit. As you can see from the images, there is not a lot of space. This is old school motor racing, and this is the corner at the far end of the circuit, Spoon Curve. The drivers approach in the background, they then turn sharply to the right over a slight crest and keep on turning, and right fuses into left around this big concrete apron that's showing the signs of where rain fell very heavily yesterday morning, but before 7 o'clock. And then if they can get their speed right round this corner, get the balance right, then they can accelerate onto the back straight, a really long run through that fabled 130R back towards the chicane that brings the lap to near conclusion. Sloping start, finish straight. Good crowd of fans high up in the grandstand looking across towards the pits and over the 19 cars that sit in sudden solitude on the grid, each driver on board locked into their thoughts, the thoughts they maybe use always before the start of a race, appraising who's around them, what are they going to do down to the first corner, just imagining, visualising, imagining and visualising, don't combine those words, what they're going to do. What is the person next to them going to be doing? Are they going to get wheel spin at the start? Will they hook up all the power effectively and gain ground? So just to reiterate, Hojust Racing on pole position, Toshiyuki Ochai and Alex Au in the white number 66. Formation lap to follow. And if the racing is anything like as exciting as the second race in particular at the opening round at Sepang back in April, we're in for a treat. And the next round of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia in 2 weekends' time at Fuji Speedway, when we'll again race alongside the Block GT World Challenge Asia. a real treat for all the teams and drivers. Two great circuits in the space of a fortnight. If you've never seen Super Trofeo racing before, it comes with 4 classes. You have the Pro class, the Pro-Am, the Am, and then the Lamborghini Cup, which is the junior class. Of those traditionally towards the end of the field, but it must be said the highest finishing LC car yesterday was YH Racing. Takemichi Matsuda and Dai Yoshihara, both Japanese drivers, going well at home ground because they finished in 9th place. Here we are running down the grid. I'll talk through the front two rows or so. Takashi Kasai on row number 4, along with FFF Racing Team. Car number 6, that should be in the hands of Yu Lin. Just fill in the gaps. Sutulok Buncharoen, new to the championship this weekend, the Thai racer, will start 9th, and Dai Yoshihara, YH Racing. He was one of the top 2 finishers in the winning pairing in the LC Cup class. So again, starting well. Dan Stuttard and fellow Antipodean Sam Fillmore filling row number 6. Massimo Vignali, he had a good run yesterday. Again, another driver joining the championship this weekend, working our way down towards the tail of the field. This is where we find the majority of the Lamborghini Cup class cars, the LC cars. Paul Wong and Kenneth Lau. If my maths is correct, we should have 19 cars. Samson Chan, Kumar Prabhakaran, they should be on the penultimate rows of the grid. Yes, we should go to, there it is, the last car. Angelo Negro starting at the rear, shares that with Zen Lowe. Bit of an accident for Zen in qualifying, but they've got everything straightened out, put the car into, you can see in front of the tyre wall, there are great big deformable structures, and if you get hit them at a certain angle, they sort of sunk the car in, and that's where his car ended up. But all was straightened very well indeed, so the things he hit did their job. This is the exit of Spoon Curve, slight dip on the exit, then you run under that Panasonic hoarding into the compression, then you start rising towards 130R, but in fact that shot, normally TV makes stuff look less steep than it is, but that actually makes it look more steep. It is a long shot down that return leg past the club circuit pits, which are very, very seldom used. They're on the right-hand side from driver's right, left-hand side from our point of view. So the field doing what it's supposed to do on the formation lap. Those last 2 runners need to close up a bit because we want them nice and close when we get to the pucker start of the race. Kumar Prabhakaran's in the right position. If that's car 69, that should be Angelo Negro, sharing with Zenlo at the very rear, 19th of the 19 starters. So the safety car, the pace car, the pace-setting car, that big Urus will, big, nimble, very, very fast indeed, it must be said, leading the cars around for the rolling start. Here they come. On pole, 38, Hojas Racing, Toshiyuki Ochai and Alex Au in the 66, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing car, the white one, on the outside of the front row. Close it up, gentlemen, close it up. Look at the lights on the gantry. Accelerating hard down to the first corner. Pole starting car has hooked it up very well indeed. It's a wide line for Vincenzo Sospiri's car on the outside. The VSR tucks into second place. These 2 cars aren't in the front just by circumstance. They're there because they are very, very strong in qualifying, and they look true to form at the front. The closest racing down at the tail of the field. A few cars going 2 or 3 wide through turns 1 and 2, but now when they get to the S's, 2 wide is about as wide as you can go. So we've got everybody through those first few corners. All very, very nicely controlled. Up through the S's, then you go through the sweeper where the track levels out, keeps on going to the left. Then you've got to get the balance of the car for the first of 2 right-handers, and you can see a twitch from 38 in the lead of the race. Hojas Racing just waiting for everything to settle down. And it's, in fact, not Toshiyuki Ochai, it's his teammate Afik Yazid at the wheel, with Yuki Namoto alongside. Sorry, the grid sheet had the other drivers. The drivers will be taking over the second part of the race. So it's late in racer Afik Yazid on a fantastic charge. I saw him coming up the order very rapidly through the second half of yesterday's race. He's very much a man on the move in this Super Trofeo Asia race. But he's got company because Yuki Namoto, no stranger to the podium, is tucked in behind. And so those first 2 running in the Pro-Am class are running away from all the pros. And the first of the pros is the one in 3rd place, Chris van der Drift. Don't forget, he won yesterday's race with his teammate Evan Chen, but their Gamma Racing car, the one with the green-white front end on it, in 3rd place, was then disqualified for ride height irregularities. He, I suggest, will be able to run in 3rd and drop car 77 tucked in behind with Satoshi Furuta at the wheel. But it looks like the first two are good for the escape. So the end of the opening lap, 1, 2, 3, first four coming through. Fifth place, we've had 63 going up a position, and that's FFF Racing Team. Kasai Takashi, and he'll hand over to Yusa Puhaka, who's the Finnish racer, who's probably the fastest of all of these across all the circuits so far this season. Fastest lap to Yazid, an advantage of 0.6 of a second in the lead of the race. Nemoto in second, Chris van der Drift comfortable in third. 57 in fourth place overall. It's the car shared by the Siri Thoranicals. And it's Sarun at the wheel. He'll hand over to Saravut in the later part of the race. So what can Chris van der Drift do? I saw him racing at the start of the season in Sepang, and he had the masterful call in changeable conditions, got the tyres right, looked like he'd absolutely blown it, but his tyre choice came good. Very, very dramatic racing in the dark and in the rain at Sepang. Conditions very, very good here, but you talk to anybody who races at Suzuka and they'll talk about tyre degradation, constant changes of direction, slightly abrasive circuit, and it really, really keeps the drivers on their toes. Nemoto's starting to attack. It looks like he's found a tenth of a second or so in the first part of the lap, maybe even slightly more than that. Maybe he's under half a second down, that is for sure at the moment. Looking at car 38 still leading for Hojust Racing, Yafi Kazid. Chris van der Drift in third place, there or thereabouts. Hasn't got the answers to this first duo, though. There goes the Kiwi, car 68, disqualified from victory yesterday, trying to put that to rights today. Is the car that's trying to make the moves. It's not this one, that's the car in fourth place, the AM runner, the leading AM runner, so really good for the Serithorn Oranicles. But the driver giving chase in FFF Racing's black and orange entry, Kasai Takashi, there he comes. And sixth place behind, it's Furuta, starting to fall away a little bit. Gap between first and second, all mistake from Serithorn Oranicle there. Holds on to fourth place for now, but Kasai, as you can see, all but pushing him around the circuit. The black and orange car getting closer and closer out of the S's. Up the hill they go, a little dab of the brakes there just before they get to the crest, balance the car at the top of the hill, then slight decline as they approach the Degnas. 2 flying laps on the board, the fastest lap of the race set last time around by this car, number 38, leading the race. Afik Yazid, 2 minutes 3.398 seconds, and he's got an advantage now of just over 6/10 of a second, almost 2/3 of a second precisely, but that really is nothing at all. Yuki Nemoto looking comfortable in behind, not pushing, but not dropping away. So looking very handy indeed for both the 38 and 66 crews. They started on the front row of the grid, and with good reason, including the fastest drivers out there on the circuit. For Yuki Nemoto in that second place car number 66. Not long ago, it was only in 2017 that he crossed over into racing in Lamborghini in the Super Trofeo in Europe, but also racing in Blancpain GT Series Asia. So turned to cars with roofs and is doing a very good job. That's Yuki Nemoto in the number 66 in second place. 6/10 of a second down on the race leading Hojust Racing entry. Afik Yazid, there it is, car 38 in the aquamarine, turquoise aquamarine livery. Looks brighter on a bright day. Still pretty cloudy here at Suzuka. It's warm, it's comfortable, certainly way better than having the temperatures of the high 30s, which we had 12 months ago, that really would be most unbearable if you're sitting aboard one of these cars. Chris van der Drift slightly losing ground. He lost 4/10 of a second. There he is, the Kiwi down into turns 1 and 2. Nice tidy racing line, but at the moment does not have the pace. Maybe on different tyres of a different degree of how they've been worn before. Teams often shuffle their tyres around. The car from FFF Racing Team is the red one, number 6, just taking a look at that. It's down the order a little bit in 10th place overall. Yulin. both in front and behind. He's got company car 77. That's a few places further up. I talked to Furuta early in the race, and that is Satoshi Furuta, 6th place overall, car number 77 from Promotion Racing. There he goes. Nice delivery on that car, must be said. Black and white, very effective. Chasing down Kasai. "50 minutes of racing, a mandatory stop midway through the race. For the majority of the drivers, it's for a driver change, but some are racing solo, so they will not hand over to anyone, but they will have to be at a stop for a fixed period of time. A fixed minimum. They can stop for as long as they want beyond that, but obviously it would cost them. Second car for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, making a little bit of a slip up there. That's Kumo Pabrakaran. He started down penultimate position, and it looks so Angelo Negro has just gone past. In fact, it's not. It's car number 8, which is Kamimura Racing Team, Kenneth Lau and Michael Choi. Kamimura Racing Team making progress. 0.86 of a second, the gap between Yazid in the lead of the race and the chasing Nemotos. The last few laps very good for the race leader. 10th here, a 10th there. It's that tight. Car 88, haven't seen much of that. Gabriele Moroni. This circuit, great fun in the Lamborghini Cup class, and Moroni driving that 88 for GDL Racing. Gianluca De Lorenzi, such a staunch supporter of all things Lamborghini, and as many things Asian racing scene-wise as well. So, been a happy hunting ground for GDL Racing, and will continue, I would suggest, to be so for years to come. So really, even though the lead seesaws one way and then another, first to second, 38 back to 66, it's staying fairly even. 0.867 of a second last time around. Let's find out what it's going to be this time around. It looks, if anything, it's maybe a little bit of a gain for the driver in second place. That's Yuki Nemoto. For our race leader, though, Afiq Yazid, born in Malaysia, coming up for 28 years ago, but he's been a real fan of Lamborghini racing. Stepped across from doing Formula Masters racing here in China, that's single-seaters, in 2015, transferred over to Lamborghini Super Trofeo here in Asia, and has really had a cracking career in that. First in the Pro category in 2017, first in the Pro-Am category in 2016, and second in Pro in the World Finals last year. So really the Malaysian racer just shining at the very highest level of Lamborghini racing. This is Chris van der Drift, still smarting from yesterday's disqualification for a ride height irregularity. Racing for Gamma Racing, but a driver who set off in single-seaters, but really since then has concentrated on cars with roofs for the past 5 or 6 years. Such a strong runner every time he's out in these cars. First to second, just as I thought it was coming down, it suddenly opened out. Nemoto now 1.4 seconds back in second place. Don't forget it was around the second mark not so long ago. In fact, it was down to about 0.6 of a second. Car 57, that's running in 4th place overall, leading the AM class and doing so handsomely. And it's Sarun Siri Thoranakal. And the car giving chase, number 63 from FFF Racing Team. It looked long ago, was at the start of the race, that would pick its position and go past, but Kasai Takashi has not managed to do so as yet. So Thai racer still running happily in 4th place, to get a bit of a twitch, braking very, very lately, trying to balance that number 57 entry, but gets it right at the important parts, just as suddenly the wall on the outside of the circuit gets closer and closer. Gets the balance he's seeking. And turns in. So there is Kasai in 63, running in a traditional FFF Racing Team black and orange livery. But over the last few laps, Baruta in the number 77 entry in 6th place, slightly falling back now. That's promotion racing. Near the battle, but not quite in it for 4th. So he's back in 6th. But in turn, he's got a 2-second advantage over car 39 in the hands of Hulin Han. It's T-squared racing. Some teams enjoy coming out to race in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo all around the world, but Asia it's very, very popular indeed. Certainly judging by the number of people milling around down on the grid and taking a look at the cars in the pit lane during the lunch break here at Suzuka. Fans do like to get up close. So there we have it. Hulin Han, plenty of company. He's got Sutiluk Buncharoen in the red car tucked in behind him, and Massimo Vignali at the back of the pack. Expect Vignali to make a little bit more progress, racing for Leipert Motorsport, showing with Brendan Leitch. Brendan, busy driver indeed. The Kiwi also racing in the Asian Formula 3 series here as well. Very unusual to get a single-seater driver doing GT-style racing as well on the same weekend. Of course, it wouldn't have batted anybody's eyelid back in the 1950s and 60s, where the top drivers tried to do as many races as they could, not just one each weekend. If they could do 3 on a weekend, they'd be paid starting money. They could be racing sports cars, single-seaters and touring cars all in one weekend. Likes of Jim Clark, just so adept jumping one car to another. At the moment, drivers tend to do fewer races and tend to stick with the similar sort of cars. Looking to see where the changes are occurring on the timing screens. I mentioned just a few moments ago Massimo Vignali, and he is starting to wind things up. Back in 9th position, but he just set his fastest lap of the race. Took a whole second out of the car in front of him. Just mentioned Sutiluk Buncharo, and he is the one who's being hunted down. Driver new to the championship this weekend, New Zealand racer Sam Fillmore, GDL Racing. How's he faring? He's in 13th position, so getting to know the circuit. Just under 6 minutes until the pit window will open. After half an hour, sorry, with half an hour left in this race, 20 minutes to 30 minutes into a 50-minute race is when the pit window is open for the mandatory driver change. If you're one of a 2-driver lineup, most of them are, but also just the time you have to come in and be at a standstill. Otherwise, so one Vincenzo Sospiri Motor Racing entry overtakes another. That's Yuki Nemoto in the 66, who's just swept by in 2nd place. And lapping the car that started in the penultimate position on the grid, that's Kumar Prabhakaran, number 98. So they put a lap on him. He's running 19th and last in this 19-car field. Real stalemate at the front of the field. 0.68 of a second. We've had that's the gap between Afik Yazid leading the way and Yuki Nemoto, but don't forget it's been like that. Give or take a few tenths. Big attacking moment there from Nemoto, possibly balancing the car more than he fancied when he clouted the curves in the first of the Degners. Afik Yazid with that sort of 2/3 of a second advantage. He's had just enough to be comfortable, because Yuki Nemoto can get close, but he certainly hasn't shown any ambition yet to make an overtaking manoeuvre. But we saw last time around on the circuit, just before this point in fact, that he's prepared to clout the curves in order not only to make a move, but just simply to keep up and keep the pressure on the race leader. Exiting Spoon Curve through the kink under that gantry, and then drivers' line of sight is, as they pass the spare pits, if you will, is 130R. What they see from the distance, they see the barriers in the background, but they see beyond the edge of the circuit and this very fast left-hander. There it is, huge expanse of tarmac runoff area, and then slowing surfaces way out beyond. But you can't see round the corner until you're really quite advanced at being in it. So confidence is absolutely king in the circuits. Is it the trademark set of corners? Well, it's a very famous one indeed. Fastest corner on the circuit, called 130 degrees R, 130R. It's a 130 degree bend. I reckon the S's are actually the most famous corner. I reckon the most technical corner is Spoon, far into the circuit, before the back straight brings the circuit and the drivers and the cars back towards the pit and paddock, but I would suggest, yeah, I think Spoon is the trickiest. The only time improvements at the moment coming for drivers outside the top 10. In fact, the driver in 10th has just, as I said, that slotted one on the screen. That's car number 6. Mentioned him very briefly at the top of the show. Stephen Lin, car running behind him. Also, last time around, Yoshihara in number 30 managed to stick together a very good lap, his fastest lap. That's the YH Racing team. Racing in place of the regular Kei Kotsulina, who was at Le Mans last weekend. So Yoshihara is the teammate this weekend here at Suzuka for Takamichi Matsuda. Just over 2 minutes until the pit window will be open. So the teams will have briefed any new drivers, of which, by my reckoning, this weekend we've got 8 drivers who hadn't competed in the opening round. So different faces in different places, but all in Lamborghinis, quite clearly, because it's the Super Trofeo Asia. And a very strong run from the first 2 cars in the field. Afik Yazid leading in the turquoise number 38 from Hojust Racing, and giving chase as best as he can Yuki Nemoto, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing at 0.68 of a second previous time. Last time around it was 0.646 of a second. This time, if anything, I'd say it's down to about half a second. Let's see when they cross the start-finish line. When they cross the beam just around the corner, you see the white stripe across the circuit. 1, 2, 3, they cross it now. What's the gap first to second? 0.709, so 0.05 of a second or so gained by the race leader. Haven't hit traffic yet. In the background, Chris van der Drift doing his best to hang on, but he's another, just about 3 seconds behind Nemoto, who's second. But behind him, it's going to be a big old gap back to Sari Thornanacle. Yep, a gap of 17 seconds back to the driver in 4th place overall. Again, just looking at a high angle from the grandstands on the final corner of this 5.815 kilometre circuit, looking down, as we were a few moments ago, onto the chicane. That super tight chicane. There's so many, even the very top drivers have come to grief over the years. It's possible to overtake in it, but it does require a good degree of simplicity. Still keeping an eye on that gap between first and second. Battle we're watching now is down the order a little bit further. It's just outside the top 10. It's Yoshihara, I mentioned him, and he's got Daniel Stuttard tucked in behind, a quarter of a second down. That's Stephen Lin in 10th place. He's their target, but a little bit up the road, and then comes that chasing duo of Yoshihara and Stuttard, giving chase to this man, Stephen Lin, number 6 entry. Wave blue flags being given to the back marker to Prabhakaran, and the pit stops. Look, pit window is open, and we already have a taker. Car number 8, right down towards the tail of the field. We'll be having a driver change. Lippert Motorsport, car 8, Kamlung Racing Team, Kenneth Lau and Michael Choi. The pit stops all look very leisurely, but they have to be, they're mandated to be at a standstill for a minimum amount of time. If they cut underneath that, don't worry, the Porsche in the background is not in the race. That's just been pushed out of Parc Fermé. That was competing, wouldn't that be one, a Porsche in a Lamborghini race, but that was in the Blancpain GT Asia race, and it's just been moved from Parc Fermé. But all nicely controlled, cool, calm and collected. Well, maybe not that cool, sitting in a hot racing cockpit, but at a standstill. The 88 car, Gabriele Moroni, does not get out because he drives the whole race solo. Likes it so much he doesn't want to share it, and unfortunately someone is not making it to their pit stop because they've rearranged the furniture. Just trying to work out which car that may be. Black with the yellow stripes up the side of it. Is that GDL Racing? Is that the 99? No, it's the 69, which is Ileso Motorsport. Yeah, so 69 in the first part of the race, driven by Angelo Negro. That was the one that started at the very tail of the field. Zen Low, one who crashed it in practice, and that's been the turn of his Hong Kong-based Italian teammate, Angelo Negro. It looks though really the main damage there is embarrassment rather than a great deal of anything else, so I suppose that's good indeed. Massimo Vignali jumping out the Lippert Motorsport example, car number 11. And he's handing that over. His stint is done in this 50-minute race. Still number 38 leading away from pole, leading all the way to the pit stops, but still not a second clear, 0.7 of a second clear of Yuki Nemoto. They stay out, and largely the drivers at the tail end of the field are the ones who've been making their pit stops. Because if you're going well at the front of the field, you stay out as long as you possibly can. Double yellow flag at turn 13. Of course, that's because of the stricken car at the side of the track, car 69, Laser Motorsport. See if we catch view of it when any of the other runners go past it. Not in that instance, just looking for the flags. Just out of shot. Fastest lap of the race still in the hands of Afik Yazid, car 38, the race leader from pole position. 47 in and out of the pits, driver change. It's gone across from Stutter to Muscat. A pair of Australian racers very much enjoying their racing for GDL Racing. Daniel Stutter now to Richard Muscat. Busy in the pits, 19 cars need to come in and make their stop. Some have yet to do so, and the one stuck out on the circuit, the Laser Motorsport example, not likely to do so because it's parked at the side of the track, parked in the protective barrier work. Yuki Nemoto trying to go as hard as he can. That's car number 78 coming to a halt. That was Sutiluk Buncharen, one of the Thai racers, third in the AM class at the current reckoning. But it's still Afik Yazid from Yuki Nemoto from Chris van der Drift. They are the fast three, nearly half a minute clear of the best of the rest. And everyone behind them, in fact, is that much further behind because they have all pretty much made their pit stops. It's really the top three we're waiting for to make their visits. Here are first and second, the turquoise race leader, car 38, Afik Yazid. Yuki Nemoto seems to be finding a little bit of form, and Chris van der Drift, I would suggest, is catching the two of them. Top three cars covered by 2.783 seconds at the end of the previous lap, and it looks so, if anything, van der Drift in the tail of this grouping has closed in a little bit, but I would suggest pit window is open, but not for a great deal longer. They will be, is any of them going to make a dive for the pit this time around? And the race leader comes in, Afik Yazid comes in, giving chase. Yuki Nemoto carries on for one more time, or maybe more, but anyhow, Yazid will be handing over to Toshiyuki Choi. We'll see how they get on with that, but they've had a really strong season so far. Second, third and third are their results across the first three races. The first two at Sepang and the second two here at Suzuka. So great circuits, very, very different in so many ways. I think Yazid almost going for a roll as he got out of the car. He fired out like cork out of a champagne bottle, but does that thing the drivers do. They sprint around, they get away from the car, and then when they realise they've gone around the back of the car, they rush to the white line and then slow it all down and suddenly think, right, I've done all I needed to do. Didn't get away in the way at the driver change. Of course, the driver getting on board has to be strapped in and strapped in cleanly. But again, because there's a minimum time you're supposed to be at a standstill, there's plenty of time for everything to be done, for the driver to be put in a safe condition to go out and do the second half of the race. Indication from the crew chief that engine needed to be fired up, get the car going all over again. Car 57 running in a comfortable fourth position, and it's changed from one Seri Thoranical, that was Saroon, to Saravut. One named you can't say in a hurry. A pair of brothers enjoying their activities in Lamborghini racing circles. So the real key is, after the pit stops are completed, before the pit window has closed, is will it be the 66 Lamborghini that's been quicker in and out of the pits, or will it be the race leading car, car number 38, the one that peeled in at the end of the previous lap, Chris van der Drift, has also pitted. He has handed across to Evan Chen. and Evans at the wheel now. Had some really exciting racing for the pair of those so far this season. They won both the races in very different conditions at Sepang, one in the dark, one in the wet. And it really was a masterclass in how to get the tyres right. Looked as though they'd made it 3 wins in a row. They were the first to flag here yesterday, Saturday at Suzuka. However, the car was adjudged to have breached a minimum ride height figure, and therefore they lost their entire race result. Yuki Nomoto out of the Vincenzo Sospiri racing car, handing the 66 entry across to Alex Au. And in fact, this weekend, the car is with a different lineup, because previous rounds it was Eduardo Liberati who shared with Alex Au, but all good, strong driver pairings. Ended up with victory yesterday, getting very close. A little further down the order, Saravut. Saruth pushed very hard indeed, but weathering that storm. And oh, dearie me, diving brake really late, got too close to Saruth, and fifth becomes sixth, but back onto the circuit somehow, just didn't get bogged down. And the 39 entry, scary himself, that's Hulin Han, Chinese racer, but another metre or so, and he could well have got bogged down in the deep gravel at the back of the hairpin. Trying to get it balance right a bit further around the lap at Spoon, and seems to be sort of started spooking himself. So waiting for, oh dear, suddenly getting a bit busy. I think that's Gabriele Moroni who's just looped it around, got it back together again. That's at turns 1 and halfway between turn 1 and 2. Possibly he'd been looking in his mirror at this pairing, and the reason he needs to do so is that these are fighting over the lead positions in the race. The 38 has come back out. Choi now at the wheel, but he's got Evan Chen right up his tail. But they're running second and third. You could just see a flash ahead of them about a second up the circuit. Looked like the 66. If it is, it's Alex Au. Let's get a good shot. Again, it's just gone around the corner, making it hard for us to see. But Evan Chen trying to go around the corner as well, around the outside, but cannot do so when he gets the first of Degners. Has to tuck in behind Choi, and does just that. Yep, there is race leading number 66. The pit stops were kind to them. And Alex Au, bottom of our shot, in the lead of the race, second and third, very close indeed. Now, can Toshiyuki Choi pick up the pace and close in on Alex Au? Au is sitting on an advantage of a couple of seconds, I would think, but the Gamma Racing example, car number 68, the one vacated by Chris van der Drift after he did the first stint in this 2-stint race, is now in very, very good position indeed, pushing the 38 entry from Hojas Racing, pushing it very, very hard. For now, Toshiyuki Choi is holding on. Now, in fact, if anything, looks like they're starting to catch the race leader. Maybe it was the angle we looked at, had that camera angle, 20 minutes or so left on the clock, but you certainly now feel that Alex Au is being hunted down. Yes, his advantage was looked like a couple of seconds. Now it doesn't even look to be a full second. It is this moment Evan Chen just decides to make a dive. Well, where are you going to place the car? Well, there wasn't space. You got put on the grass. And then a little bit of a pinch on Choi so he can put the power down.
Safety car deployed. Safety car deployed.
Oh, just we got this brilliant three-way lead battle. The safety car has been deployed. You could just hear the message, and it just nips out. The Urus, the Lamborghini Urus, just comes out. And so for Alex Au, oh gosh, I've just got these other two getting on my tail. Now I've got breathing space. How long will this car be out there for? So really tightened up behind Toshiyuki Choi in the second place car, number 38. Looked as though he'd just done enough to stay ahead of Evan Chen in the number 68 Gamma Racing example. They're going to do it all over again. But if Chen can take the battle to Choi on the restart, that will give a chance for Alex Au to make good his escape in that number 66 Vincenzo Sospiri car. There it is, leading the field around behind this, the safety car. Everyone had made their pit stops, all well and done. In good style during the pit stop window, so nobody has transgressed just there. Of course, what this does, it bunches the field right up, and the car you want to look for, I would suggest, is number 63. We saw it in the early stages of the race in the hands of Kasai Takashi. It's black, not black and yellow like that one, black and orange, There it is, the background of the shot behind the yellow and red car. That's Yusuf Puhaka, the Finnish driver, who has been a real star in the Super Trofeo series and particularly concentrating on his racing in Asia. He's got to make good that restart. He's running 5th in the line of cars, but he's 4th overall because the interloper between them, I think we worked out it was Gabriele Moroni. He's a lap down, that would tally. In fact, it's not Moroni. I told you a fib. It's Michael Choi for the Kamlung Racing team. He's running down. He's a lap down in 17th place overall. What we have at the moment, we started with 19 cars, we have 18, but the one I want you to watch is the black one with the orange stripe, the broad stripe up the bonnet and over the roof as well. Running 5th on the track, but 4th overall, Yusuf Puhaka. He's going to have to be right on his toes. And the driver of car 88 could be for the high jump, Gabriele Moroni. Possible overtaking under the safety car deployment. That is what we call a no-no. It won't probably steal loads of points from him. He's 5th in the Lamborghini Cup class. He's the one we saw have that spin a short while ago. And I'll keep an eye on the screen to see if he gets any further punishment. We're running 16th overall, 5th in the LC Cup class. I don't think it's going to send him home too unhappy, because it's not likely to snatch away a victory from the Italian. Leading the way in the Lamborghini Cup class, just to do my duty here, is car number 30, entered by YH Racing Team. Takamichi Matsuda at the wheel, and launch from timing screen to other screen, and we have a spinner. Is that Prabhakaran who's gone round? If it's car number 98, which it is, it's the tail ender Kumar Prabhakaran, and he's got it wrong through the first of Degners, but the good news is it's on the track, not in the gravel. Now he's going towards the gravel, over the curb, bit of a rise. Does it very gently indeed. He's got away with that. But again, when you have incidents behind a safety car, it's just a simple case of, I think, drivers, they're not fully focused. They're having to, they should be fully focused, but they're not as fully focused as they are when they're at full racing speed. And it's incredible how often we have little incidents behind a safety car when someone's just switched themselves down to 80% concentration. In some cases, maybe only 20%. If you can get away with it, I'm sure that's fine. But let's focus on the restart. Alex Au, we don't know when the restart will be, but he's going to lead them round. There it is, the number 66. White and blue car from Vincenzo Sospiri. Toshiyuki Choi, number 38, is going to try and make good an attack. They're both in the Pro-Am class. Driver in 3rd place for Gamma Racing, 68, Evan Chen. Top car in the Pro lineup. Chris van der Drift started it, now it's in his hands. Don't forget, he was making some really attacking manoeuvres just before that three-way lead battle had got really close together. Just at that very point, we had the safety car come up while the clean-up is underway. Still waiting for signal on screen or on my timing screen that the safety car will be coming in. Could still happen at the end of this lap. For the 18 drivers still going, waiting for this restart, well, they're going to have probably at least 13 minutes of running when the safety car has withdrawn. No, the lights are still ablaze. But it's a real case of recalibrate. They got into the swing of the race, they got through the pit stops all clean and tidy. Expect the number 8 car, Michael Choi at the wheel. Here he is with the KLM livery on the side to be pushed aside very quickly and politely by number 63. That's Yusuf Puhaka, the Finn. 5th in that line of cars behind the safety car, 4th on the road. 1st, 2nd and 3rd, ahead of the yellow and red car that is the full lap down for Michael Choi. And then the car that's 5th in the line, as I mentioned, Yusuf Puhaka. Look out for him, he could be very, very handy indeed on the restart. But what he doesn't want is for Michael Choi to hang back. He wants to be, because he can't overtake it till he gets to the start-finish line, but he wants to be absolutely at the greatest speed he possibly can, the greatest velocity that he can manage down the start-finish straight. Still no message from race control about the safety car coming in. As the field feeds its way, they've gone through the hairpin now, approaching the spoon curve. Car car 77, Yun Tashiro sharing that with the driver who started, Toshi Furuta, for promotion racing. Good strong run for them. New to the championship this weekend, took a 10th place in the first of 2 races and doing rather better this afternoon. Lights still ablaze on the roof of the safety car. Approaching 130R, drivers weaving, doing what they need to do to try and keep the heat in those tyres. They want everything to be warm, not cooling off when they get to brake hard for the first tight corner after the restart. So, Alex Au leading the way. Of course, his advantage is slender. He's behind the safety car. His job now is to keep a look at the car in the lead of the race. The car leading the race is the safety car. That car, has it got lights ablaze still on its roof? Can't see at the moment, but I think we've got at least one more lap behind the safety car. There it is, leading them round. Wave yellow flags around the circuit. The drivers, if they're not aware of what the situation is now, they shouldn't be out there on the circuit, but they're all running as they should be.
Safety car in the pit at the end of this lap. Safety car in the pit at the end of this lap.
All running line astern as they should, and they have to get their focus. The light's still on the roof of the car, but the safety car coming in at the end of this lap. I don't think a safety car restart will be something any of these drivers haven't experienced before, but it's really a big question. The drivers at the front are the ones who have to be right on their toes, get really close to the car ahead of them, and it'll be a question when in about half a lap's time the lights are extinguished on the roof of the safety car, and it pulls off into pit lane after that chicane at the end of the lap. Chicane that comes just before the final corner. The right-hander, as the start-finish straight starts dropping away past the trademark Ferris wheel. You can see it in the background of the shot as they, or you could, as we exit the S's. So it's for Alex Au to consider life, consider what he plans to do when he decides that he will try and mask when he's flooring the throttle, and where to do it to the most effect. Try and fool Toshiyuki Choi, who's running in second place behind him. Car in third place, Evan Chen, green, white and red. You can see it with the red stripe up the middle, that's in third. Car fourth in the row is Michael Choi. He is a lap down. Hopefully he'll get out of the way very quickly and not interrupt the progress of Yusuf Pohaka in the number 63 FFF. Only 3 Fs there, I think I've got 4 out. FFF Racing Team entry. Now you can sense they're picking the pace up, focusing on what lies ahead. Still the lights on the roof of the Lamborghini Urus. They will be extinguished soon. Team would have sent messages out to their drivers. Focus, focus, be brave, be accurate. Don't overcook it. No overtaking before the start-finish line, but it's still up to the driver leading the queue around. Alex Au in the number 66 entry from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing to consider when he wants to floor it. Right, he's hung back, the safety car, the lights are out, so all the drivers behind, even the ones who can't see it, know the start is coming when they get onto the start-finish straight. And really it's a question of how well Choi can react to the flooring of the throttle by the car leading the race. The car driven by Alex Au. And in behind, Evan Chen does not want to lose out. He wants to get in as close as he possibly can. So through 130R, the drivers go already. The flooring of the throttle is obvious as the first 2 cars get away. Evan Chen manages to hang on. Bit of a gap back to the driver in 4th place. He's the driver who's going to delay Yusuf Pohaka. Can't overtake him until the start-finish line. So they've got to turn onto the start-finish straight. The job is to get as close as you can to the car ahead of you. Get a slipstream. Try and make a move down into turn 1.
Car number 97 and 77 drive through penalty, speeding in the pit lane. Car 97 and 77 drive through penalty, speeding in the pit lane.
So 2 drivers being given drive-through penalties, and what I was just observing during that instruction, Yusuf Pohaka, here he is in the black and orange entry from FFF Racing Team, really held up by Michael Choi.
Stop and go, 30 seconds penalty. Car 8-8, stop and go, 30 seconds penalty.
That's a big penalty for car number 88, but then again, overtaking during a safety car period is a big crime in the eyes of the stewards, and quite rightly so, because the most important thing at that moment is the safety of the track officials. And cars are overtaking, there's always a risk something untoward will happen. Nothing untoward has happened at the front of the field. Alex Au, exemplary restart. Toshiyuki Choi trying his best to get onto his tail, but aware that Evan Chen is right on his tail. But the driver I really fancy in all of this, but the time is running down, is Yusup Pohaka. He lost ground behind the back marker, couldn't overtake it to the start-finish line, and that let this first three get away. But look, the gap has closed down to next to nothing. The Finn is on the charge. He's fourth, and he's making all the moves. He's less than a second down on Evan Chen. Evan's in third. Evan was one of the two winners last night. He and his teammate Chris van der Drift disqualified from the results for a car that had a ride height infringement. They're trying to do it all over again. Had they won last night, that would have made it 3 wins from the first 3 races in the championship. So it's kept the championship a little bit closer. But for now, if you want close, just look at the top 4 runners. Alex Au, slight advantage, maybe as much as getting on for a second. Then Choi and Chen and Pohaka catching all 3 of them. Car in 5th place, background to the shot. Unfortunately, that will be visiting the pit for a drive-through penalty. One of 2 cars there, and so 5th place will become history for Tashiro Kasai. Sorry, Jun Tashiro. Right, Alex Au leading on to another lap. This will be 18 laps completed, 6 minutes 40 seconds or so remaining. First 4 almost nose to tail now. And the driver really has been making the moves. Is Pohaka. We've got a pit visitor. That'll be a drive-through penalty for number 77. So he's just dropped out of that 5th place on the track, blowing the top result. So he'll rue the errors of his ways, speeding in pit lane. Let's hope he's not doing that now while we look at him. And I sense that Choi has suddenly got a second lease of life in the 38 entry, the Ho Just Racing entry. Toshiyuki Choi pushing very, very hard indeed. And in turn, Evan Chen on his tail, and he likewise is almost being propelled around the circuit by the driver in 4th, but Yusup Pohaka. Car number 6, he wasn't one who was due in the pits, but he's here anyhow. Got lonely out on the track. That's Yulin at a standstill in the pit lane. Can Alex Au hang on at the front of the race? Just under 0.6 of a second clear at the start of the lap. 5 minutes 40 seconds of the race until the checkered flag is coming out, and suddenly a problem. 2nd place has become 3rd. A little mistake, I think. Was it a missed gear change? I can't really work out why momentum was lost by Choi, but Evan Chen didn't need a second invitation, and he's gone right up into 2nd place. Now let's see what he can do about the race leader. Alex Au leading. Will he be there at the end of the lap? Certainly Evan Chen has got a lot of momentum as he goes through the first part of Spoon. Is he carrying too much speed? Will he have to scrub a little bit so that he can turn into the final part of the long dipping left-hander? No, he all looks absolutely fine. But again, Alex Au actually very tidy in front of him. Now the first 2 have got away. What was the problem for Choi? He was 2nd, then suddenly he was back in 3rd. He's got Pohaka all over his tail, but something, maybe just the smallest of mistakes, lost him his momentum. Maybe attacked too hard and had to come off the power. And don't wait to be asked twice. Up the inside, very, very tidy from Evan Chen. I don't know why Alex Au made it quite as easy for his challenger as he did, but it's Gamma Racing back at the front as they were in the first 2 races of this championship. First to the finish yesterday as well, until being disqualified for a technical infringement in the ride height department. Yusup Pohaka is now up into 3rd place. Choi, I don't know what was going on that lap. Have his tyres completely gone away from him? But the Ho Just Racing entry, number 38, started pole position, falling back into the pack, and he's now got company aplenty in behind. In 5th place overall, leading the AM class, is number 39 entry of Hulin Han, and that looks so it's going to go past Choi as well very soon. Gabriele Moroni coming in, car number 88, to serve his drive-through penalty. No, not just drive-through, stop and go, not for a few seconds, for 30 seconds, overtaking under the safety car. Hopefully we'll never do that again. And whatever has started to go wrong for Choi, it's gone a whole lot worse. This is the car that set the fastest lap of the race, coming up to the top of the S's, ran out of road, and now to almost do a country drive to get back to the circuit, coming out in about 10th position. I think that will 9th position, because that was a Sarathianical car going past him, and that had been 9th. So a bit of jigging at the front, but the main thing is that it's now Evan Chen in the lead of the race. So it's a pro-pro combination. Chris van der Drift started that car, handed over to Evan Chen. They were winners in the first 2 races at Sepang, winner in the first race here, then were disqualified. But at this point now pulling clear in the lead of the race. But Yusuf Bohaka has also passed Alex Au. He's up into second place, so the cars with the third and fourth in short order are now first and second. Bohaka is coming all along. In third place it's Alex Au, the white car in the background of the shot, and he's got I think that's Huilin Han right on his tail. Didn't get to see why Choi got it all wrong at the top of the hill. Still listed as fourth place on my lap chart, but that's because he hasn't passed a certain marker point, and then suddenly he's going to scroll down to what I think was 9th or 10th position after that mistake at the top of the S's. But Bohaka is really, really pushing. End of the lap, 0.4 of a second down on the race leader, and Evan Chen is going to have to hang on. But look, just 2 minutes 20 seconds remaining. Suddenly Alex Au lost 2 more positions, so maybe he was caught up in that same moment. But the 66 goes down, number 7. Here it is, number 7, Brendan Leitch, the New Zealand racer, really putting on a charge, and Richard Muscat tucked under his wing. New Zealand leads Australia. 2 drivers coming very, very strong at the end of the race, while some of the earlier front runners hitting problems, namely Alex Au down into 5th place, and Toshiyuki Choi right at the sharp end, and suddenly now down in 9th, 25 seconds away from the race leader. Here is Leitch being pushed very, very hard indeed by Muscat. Muscat's highest finishing position was 6th yesterday, 2 7th places in the opening races in Malaysia. But right now, with 1.5 minutes remaining, let's concentrate on the lead battle. Yusuf Bohaka's got this lap, and I would suggest just enough time to start one more. We will see. Official finish time 38. No. The last lap line will be coming up. The sign will be shown to us. So, yeah, just enough time to get on the final lap. Where will Bohaka make his move? Surely it's a question of where, not when. But actually, very good run through the Degners and under the bridge there have really helped the race leader, Evan Chen. Round through the first 2/3 of Spoon Curve. They go onto the back straight. This is the crucial corner. Get your balance right on the exit, and you can get the throttle planted better than anyone else around you, sooner than anyone else around you. In behind, it looks as though Brendan Leitch has just got enough of an advantage over Richard Muscat to hold on to that 3rd place. So it's 2 pro lineups at the front of the field, and then 3 pro-am runners. Alex Au still in 5th place, hasn't dropped any further, but he's got right behind him, he's got Huilin Han, and the am runner could actually move up to 5th place. It's so super close. Down the start finish straight, a bit of a wobble there from Evan Chen. I don't know why the car was so unsettled, but look, Bohaka's got a better exit. He tried to slipstream, he's going the outside, but he's carrying more speed down the start finish straight. But you've got to be bold on the outside, you've got to have the driver on the inside being slightly complicit. Evan Chen very late on the brakes. This is the point that the Finn could be able to tuck underneath him and be tighter on the exit, but Chen, whoa, that was very wise. He managed to get his car just where it needed to be. I thought he'd brake too late, but by having been on the outside, and then a mistake into the first part of the S's from Bohaka. Easy for me to say, but you can see the tail of the car started to come around, just hit the curb, and it really cost him. Half a lap to go on this, the final lap of the race. Where is the passing manoeuvre going to come? It was semi-considered into the turn 1, but Evan Chen super late on the brakes, and he got away with it. Is it going to be 2 wins in 2 days? Don't forget, I'll just mention this one more time. It was taken away, last night's victory taken away from the Gamma Racing crew. So that is why Chris van der Drift and Evan Chen are so clean to put it right today. Through the right-hand kink before the hairpin. Again, Evan Chen is offering no chink in his armour, no little sniff at all for Bohaka to try and find a way past him. It looks like Evan Chen has done enough, but there's still the entrance to Spoon, all of Spoon, 130R, and the chicane, all super tricky corners. But I think at this late stage in the race, we saw that twitch at the top of the hill coming onto the start-finish straight last time around from Evan Chen. I thought, oh my gosh, and so did Yusuf Bohaka. He thought, right, you're really struggling for grip, I've got a chance to accelerate past you. It didn't come to be, but that was because Evan Chen showed real fighting spirit for Gamma Racing. Somehow managed to get the braking done sufficiently to turn into turn 1, but this time around he's eked out an advantage. It's probably about 0.6 of a second. That surely will be enough. Up to the chicane for the final time. This is the penultimate set of corners. Evan Chen set for victory, so Chris van der Drift will be very happy indeed in the pits. Can't see the order being reversed. It's going to be very close at the finish. What was the gap? 0.299 of a second, but victory to Gamma Racing. And the top Pro-Am runner, third place overall, Brendan Leitch, just 1.5 seconds clear of the chasing Richard Muscat. Top car in Am, car number 39 in 5th overall. And the last few runners coming to the finish of the race. Car number 8 is a lap down, don't forget, but yeah, we've got the top 3 finishes in Am. They're running in 5th, 7th and 8th positions overall. Last 2 runners coming through, but really the story of that race was safety cars giving second opportunities for drivers who started further down the order, and the likes of Brendan Leitch, Richard Muscat, but most notably Yusuf Haka working their way forward. But the second driver in the Gamma Racing example, car number 68, Evan Chen, did what was required of him, and it was intense pressure in those final 2 laps after the restart, but he held on. Huge pressure exerted, huge pressure repelled. And the top finisher in the LC Cup class, to do my paperwork, car number 44, 10th overall, taking the victory in the junior class. That's Clement Lee sharing with Paul Wong. So nice clean racing, a few glitches here and there, but really looking very good indeed out on the track here. The drivers all enjoying the experience. There's the Pro-Am winner, Brendan Leitch, 3rd overall. So close at the finish, close most of the way through the race, but for car 38 it all went rather wrong, and outside the top 10 at the end of the race for Choi, 11th overall. I don't know what the problem was. We saw the car going off the circuit, dropping to 9th. That was at the top of the S's. And I fancied there might have even been a little quick pit visit. Let's have a look at the tyres. No, not enough time for that. But whether the tyres had gone, whether there was a slow puncture, but certainly for the crew that started from pole position, the car in the hands of Afik Yazid was the leader in the early part of the race, but rather was a race that unravelled for them. But for the team that came away with victory today, for Gamma Racing, the team that won yesterday's race was disqualified. We've settled it again today. Right back, hopefully car legal. I'm sure it will be. You won't be caught 2 days running, or if you are for one offence, that's not too bright at all, but I'm sure all clean. The Gamma Racing car worked very hard indeed. You can see Chris van der Drift going out, slightly bearded figure, big smile in his face, thumb up to his compatriot Brendan Leitch, who's just part of the number 7 car as the winner of the Prime class. But yeah, a hug there for Evan Chen. And let's take a look at the results at the end of the event. It was Evan Chen building on the work that Chris van der Drift did in the first part of the race when he ran in 3rd. Came through with that safety car restart, did it very well. Yusuf Haka pushed him to the finish, building on Kasai's job in the first part of the race. 0.299 of a second, next to nothing. Big pressure, but it was repelled. Marco Vignali sharing with Brendan Leitch, and John Stuttard with Daniel Muscat. Good runs for them, both in the Pro-Am class, 3rd and 4th overall. Top car in the Am class, that was Martin Rump at the wheel. Interesting. I had that down anyhow, but car number 39 coming through to the finish to take the Am class honours. Hood in hand, to my reckoning. I think that's a little glitch. And LC Cup honours, you can see the pale grey background, Clement Lee and Paul Wong in 10th place overall. But what that does for the championship, they came here as championship leaders, Evan Chen and Chris van der Drift. No points for last night's race, but they've got 3 victories from 4 runs, so they'll be looking pretty good at the sharp end of the table. But certainly it's about consistent scoring, so any drop score can be a bit of a nightmare for a championship challenge. But you have to say the Gamma Racing duo do look very strong indeed. Still need to find out what happened to the Hojas Racing car, why it fell down to 11th place overall, but I don't really think it was driver induced. I think it may well have been something as mundane but as difficult as a slow puncture. Still the last few runners coming in at the end of the race. The other drivers who were first to the flag keen, no doubt, after greeting their teammates and their crews to go up onto the podium. But let's take a look back at the highlights of this, the second of the two races at Suzuka. Very, very tidy start. Afik Yazid on the left of our screen from pole position. And Yuki Nemoto, the white car with the blue and yellow flashes on the outside. Vincenzo Sospiri racing and making sure he came into third place behind them. Chris van der Drift, car number 68. And it was all tidy at the front, but the first two cars started to make their break. And then there are all sorts of lines you can take to the corners. A bit of tarmac down there. Find it if you please. And that was Angelo Negro sharing with Zen Low with a rather liberal interpretation of the line, but no damage done. First two drivers started to make good their escape. That was the position being handed back. And others clonking the curb. Such a tricky circuit. That's Kumar Prabhakaran and Michael Choi getting in close for company and saying, "Oi, you go wide, I'm coming through." Second part of the Degners move was undertaken. The chicane, always a point of interest for the drivers. It seems frustrating corner. It's so slow after the wonderful sweep through 130R, but keep it clean and tidy through there. Most important thing is the exit to the corner. Then we came round to the pit stops. That's Massimo Vignali coming in to hand over the number 7 to Brendan Leitch. There was Afik Yazing dropping out of the car that had led the early stages of the race, but after the pit stops in the hands of Toshiyuki Choi, it then came under lots of pressure. Evan Chen getting in close and up ahead of them. Alex Au, you see him having a bit of a wobble as he tried to get the car braked for the penultimate corner, but then he had so much company in behind him. Toshiyuki Choi,
Safety car deployed.
don't know if he just came to touch him, but then this wonderful battle, just as it shaped up, the first three drivers all close together. We had the news from race control, the safety car was deployed. Now that could be where what I think might have become a slow puncture happened. I didn't pick that up at the time. Running wide off the circuit, second became third, and almost an instant Yusuf Pohaka came up close to try and make it fourth. So this is where the problem started for Ochai, and it was halfway around the following lap that we saw the car running off the circuit at the top of the S's and falling from fourth place back down the order. Then finally the challenge for the lead of the race didn't quite pay off for Yusuf Pohaka in 63. Evan Chen did a very, very good job of covering off all the options. He then managed to resist the Finns' charge, if anything, actually slight open out another car length. A little twitch there, just clipping the curb on the inside, couldn't get the power down through the corner, had to come off the power multiple point, so Pohaka lost his opportunity. In the background, third place for Brendan Leitch, and a good run, very good run for Richard Muscat into fourth. That's it, victory. Still drivers milling around in the area under the podium, waiting for the podium ceremony. And we will wait for them to clamber up and show their joy up on the podium. 4 classes of racing, as I mentioned, in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. Overall, Pro-Am, Am, and Lamborghini Cup class. So that's it for now. Come back in 2 weeks' time. Join us at Fuji Speedway, where we will return with round 3 of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. Plenty to talk about, plenty to enjoy, and we're very much looking forward to it. That's it from me, Bruce Jones. Goodbye.